The streets of San Francisco are celebrated in TV programs and movies. Twisty, hilly, and challenging. About 40 miles north of the city, by the way, is a natural terrain road course with the same characteristics. That's where the Indycar drivers will compete today on the road to the 2009 championship.
Dario Franchitti started on pole. He will win for the second time of his career. And Dario Franchitti will go to Edmonton with the IndyCar Series championship lead. The thousands here on hand. Briscoe shown the leader. Meanwhile, Carpenter with the advantage. Briscoe is out of overtake. Pushes Carpenter and his two left. And Carpenter to the bottom. Briscoe to the high side. Get the cameras out for a photo finish. Here comes Carpenter. Side by side with Briscoe. Briscoe got him. Briscoe by a nose at the line. Will win it. Here comes a pass for the lead. It's going to be Dixon. Here he comes. His 20th IndyCar Series career win. And it is Scott Dixon, the winner. And the number 9 card will go to P1 in the championship standings.
Only 19 points separate Scott Dixon, Ryan Briscoe, and pole sitter Dario Franchitti, making this championship race one of the closest in IndyCar history. 4 races in the season remain as Sonoma hosts the final road race of 2009 before the championship finishes with all ovals. The Sonoma Valley, also called the Valley of the Moon in Northern California, is known for producing some of the finest wine in the world. Vineyards are scattered all over these golden hills. The toast of the town today, however, are the stars of the IndyCar Series, who have gathered here for the 5th time to compete at Infineon Raceway in the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma. Dario Franchitti has won the pole for today's race, picking up 1 point and narrowing the advantage that his teammate has in the standings. Scott Dixon leads in the championship chase by just 3 over Team Penske's Ryan Briscoe. Ryan and his teammate Elio Castro-Neves start 2nd and 3rd today, hoping to repeat their 1-2 sweep here last year. But don't count out Marco Andretti, who won his first and only IndyCar Series event here in 2006. Welcome to IndyCar Central on Versus, where in less than an hour, the green flag will drop on the 14th race of the 2009 season. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Sonoma. I urge you to stay tuned for this pre-race show. It's going to have a little bit of everything. We'll update you on the condition of the 2 drivers injured yesterday. We'll visit a winery, and there'll even be a big snake with Jackaroot. You'll want to see that. This is the final road course race of 2009. 3 ovals will bring a curtain down on the 2009 season. Scott Dixon retook the points lead 2 weeks ago with a win at Mid-Ohio. And the green flag comes out.
Oh, Kanan, he's going to bait.
Boy, the problems for TK continue.
Deja vu all over again. Wilson is really pushing on Briscoe. Here's a move for the lead. They both hit the button. Look at that nice, clean racing.
Justin Wilson has increased his lead to over 7 seconds.
Here comes a pass for the lead. It's going to be Dixon. Milcaduno playing the jammer, and Justin Wilson had the lift. Dixon takes the lead.
Oh, Danica's in the sand trap, and she's pretty much buried.
Sorry, Mike. You got to get yourself in better position. He's low on fuel. He's barely making it.
Again, making sure he gets a tap over the shoulder. His fuel man, they light back up, and he stows the car. Can he get it going this time? That 30-plus second stop, got to kill it.
Scott Dixon wins his 20th career race. He now is the all-time winner in the IndyCar Series with 20 wins.
And the all-time winner in IndyCar Series history, but what a difference 2 weeks can make, Scott Dixon. Things didn't start out too well for you here this week in qualifying.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and it shows that, you know, you're really only as good as your last race, and we definitely with the target car today, or yesterday I should say, in qualifying, we had some problems or issues with the braking package, and you know, that little bit of time really cost you, and we didn't make it to the fast 6, and now we're starting 10, so we've got a lot of work to do today.
You weren't just looking at the braking aspect. I heard that from a lot of teams, but you actually were changing shocks even as of this morning in warm-up. I heard you went to Dario's shocks. Did that work for you?
We tried some stuff that Dario's been running on the 10 target car, but you know, we definitely like different things, and there was definitely a show of that at Mid-Ohio. You know, he just wasn't happy with the car, and it's sort of flip-flopped this weekend, and he's really happy with the car. So, you know, we'll have to see if we can bring it back, and, you know, it's going to be tough. You know, it's a tough place to pass.
Starts in 10th place, trying to work his way up the pack. Ryan Briscoe doesn't start too far from the very front. He's with Lindy Thaxton.
Until the very end of qualifying, it looked like Ryan Briscoe would be on pole position, but then you said you knew you made a little mistake in a turn. You knew Dario was going to take it and that point. Talk about how the littlest things here can greatly affect this points race.
Well, yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't take it from me, but had a couple of laps there that probably would have had, you know, been good enough for the pole, but there were probably a bunch of us saying the same thing. But you know, definitely getting the front row start here is very important. It's a pretty tricky track, you know, and track position is very important. So, you know, I love the track, and I've got a great team behind me. You know, we've always been competitive around this place, so hopefully we can get away to a nice clean start. Maybe I'll get in front of Dario, see what I can do, and take from there, but looking forward to it.
And Jack, Ryan Briscoe started second here last year and finished second.
Well, Dario Franchitti hopes to change things a little bit this weekend. Dario, Team Target seems to be on a move, and you saved the best for last in qualifying. Got 1 point in the points chase. Now, how do you cash in on that and bring it all home and get the lion's share of the points today?
Yeah, qualifying was definitely good. We did a good job with the target car. We got it up there. Last gasp effort after going off the track, so that was all cool. But race today, we've got to try and get out front and stay out front. Track position is going to be really, really important here. So if we've got the speed and we can save enough fuel as well, stay up front, that would be ideal. But you throw in yellows at the wrong time and all those things, anything can happen. But
let me ask you, though, with traffic the way it is and how hard it is here to pass, they've introduced the overtake button. Have you thought about that and how and when best to use it?
Yeah, I have thought a bit about it. So that will come into play at some points today, definitely.
Hey, Bob, the points are getting tighter and tighter. In fact, as tight as I can remember at this point in the season.
Absolutely right, Jack. This is the way the standings look after 13 races. Now, although several remain mathematically eligible for the title, it looks as if it will come down to Scott, Ryan, or Dario. Now, if you look at the accumulated points only on road courses this year, Briscoe has the most. Dario second, Dixon third, Justin Wilson fourth, and Will Power is fifth. And speaking of Will Power, he's not here today because yesterday during practice, first of all, Nelson Philippe got off track at turn number 4. But he was able to continue from that incident. 11 minutes later, he did the same thing, but the car stayed on the track. E.J. Viso crested the hill, clipped him. But then Will Power comes over the hill and makes heavy contact with the right side of Nelson Philippe's car. Absolutely incredible impact that tore up both cars. We are very happy to report, however, that neither driver has been seriously injured. Now, here's the update. Will Power has compression fractures at L2 and L4 in his back and a concussion. Nelson Philippe has an open fracture on his left foot and a broken right leg and also a concussion. However, both are expected to fully recuperate. Now, Will Power has had an interesting season. He started off the season, of course, substituting for Elio Castroneves. He won the pole at Long Beach, and he was 5th at Indy, then laid out until Toronto, where he finished 3rd. He won Edmonton and was 9th at Mid-Ohio. There is big news concerning Andretti Green Racing and also one of their drivers, Danica Patrick. Robbie Floyd will have those stories when we return to IndyCar Central on Versus, live from Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California.
Does it get any better than this, to be in Sonoma, California, wine country, IndyCar weekend at the Infineon Motor Speedway? I don't think so, but there's one thing that does make it a little bit different. We have the historic Grand Prix Series here, which is featuring Formula One cars from the 70s and 80s. There's about 18 of them here, and they race at different venues across the United States. In 1982, I graduated from high school, and my gift was to go to the Montreal F1 race. And this car, I remember, K.K. Rosberg, Jacques Lafitte were driving. Tell us just a little bit about this car, because this is a championship-winning car that has history, has won races.
This car ran 8 Grand Prix in 1979, won 4, had 7 poles. It ran the first Grand Prix of 1980, and it won in Argentina.
Give us some of the highlights of this beautiful Cosworth-powered car.
Well, it is completely mechanical. There's no engine management, electrical engine management at play here. So everything is controlled through the mechanical fuel injection.
What drew you to these cars?
I was at Road America 2004, and I went over to watch this start, and I said, wow, I've got to get a car like that and drive it. It's just so beautiful. The howl of a Cosworth at 11,000 revs is special.
Did you think to yourself, hey, I can't get out and drive this thing, I got to just put it maybe in my living room as a piece of art?
It's a race car. It's designed to be driven, and it's such a wonderful car to drive.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you know, I don't know all the technical aspects of it, but one thing is I know they look fantastic on the racetrack. And then once you get these cars on the racetrack, nothing sounds better. That's what they're all about.
Today here on the Infineon racetrack, and really we're very competitive. I'm Bob Jenkins with Jan Beekes and Robbie Buell, but the thing I'll remember from that piece is you graduated from high school in '82. Jeez, you're old.
I know, you poked me right when you said that, but I'm going to get a chance to drive that car.
Oh, yeah, good. All right, let's turn our attention to today. One of my favorite things about this racetrack, Robbie, is the fact that it has a lot of elevation change.
It does, an incredible amount of elevation change. As you go from turn 1 all the way up there to turn 3, that's almost climbing 14 stories. Then you roll to the carousel, turn 6. It's like a roller coaster where your belly hit your ankles, and you don't know where it's going to stop.
And then up the back straightaway, the end of the drag strip, that's kind of subtle, but that goes up to 106 feet. Then you run down to 14 feet in turn 10, and just a great elevation change here at Infineon.
No kidding. So here we are looking at turn 1 again. That's a 6-gear corner. We're riding on board with Elio. Here's turn 1. Big compression, flat out 6 gear. Down to 2nd gear as you get to turn 2 here. The car gets a little bit light. You get after one of my favorite places, Jan.
I love turn 3 and 3A, just like you, Robbie. Of course, that's where Will Power unfortunately had his accident. But right here, it pushes you in your seat, then up over the top. It's blind. And man, that is a fantastic corner. Really gets you going.
And here's the carousel, this long, sweeping downhill corner, very fast. Here is a blind rise going into the carousel. Here you are looking to work the wheel, wait on going to the power. Now you're thinking, get out of there and get down to turn 7.
Couple great passing places. Turn 7 is one of them, and the other one is coming here into turn number 9. Here's 7. You get on the brakes, down to 40 miles an hour. Feels like you're parked. Then you hammer it. Then it's the side to side down the hill.
It is, and through this sweeping straight, it's like a ski racer. You got to be in front of the gates. If you get behind here, you're just catching up.
And the next passing zone coming up here at 9. If you're brave, Mari Marias tried it. Didn't quite pull it off on Castro Neves, but we'll see that one come race time. Now back around towards turn 10, completing a lap of Infineon.
All right, well, we have talked about it before, but you really can't talk about it enough. We've got a great championship points battle going on, Jan.
We do, and it's just, you would think after Mid-Ohio, well, you know, Scott Dixon's got it in the bag with that kind of momentum. But wouldn't you know here, Scott Dixon has that problem with the brakes in qualifying, and now he starts 10th. It was a bit of a binding in the brake bias, so it's not like he's out of it. But when you start 10th here, that makes it tough, Robbie.
No, it does. And for Dixon, you know, we kind of heard from a little bit. He said, maybe I don't want to be leading the points right now. I just want to lead at the last race. So what's going to come out of here, we'll find out.
All right, well, get set for the final road course race of the year. Thanks for joining us on IndyCar Central on Versus. Stay with us. We'll be back for the command to start engines and the start of this event in just a moment. Always always fun to come to this area of the country. North of San Francisco and the Sonoma Valley, welcome to Infineon Raceway. We are getting set for the Indycar Grand Prix of Sonoma. We have a lot of race fans here today that are anxiously awaiting the start of this race, and it's just about time to do so. So we go down to the starting line for the command to start engines.
Race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome back women's basketball Olympic gold medalist Jennifer Azzi as she gives the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
From turn 7 onwards, we'll get them off. Okay, turn on your pit lane speed limiter so we can stay in here. Row 1, both cars hot. Yeah. Posted. You adjust the brake bias. Six hot. 8 hot. 10 hot. 11 hot. Good job, guys. I copy all cars running.
Beautiful day here in this area as we have temperatures in the low 70s. Just an incredible setting here as the drivers, 22 strong, get set to go 75 laps, a total of 175 miles. The race has been shortened by 5 laps from last year. Our Peak Pole Award winner is Dario Franchitti. Went around this track at 1:16.798 miles an hour, 107.9 miles an hour, and he now has 4 poles for 2009. Briscoe has 2. Graham Rahal and Elio Castroneves and Will Power each have 2, and Scott Dixon, because of points, started on the pole at Kentucky. Here's the starting lineup as we go through here. We'll tell you that the farthest back a winner has ever started was 5th in 2007, and that was Scott Dixon. This race has never been run caution-free. We had 1 caution in 2008 for 2 laps, and we had 4 cautions. That's the most cautions that were ever in this race in 2005 and 2006. Fewest number of leaders, 3. Most different leaders, 5. And the Sonoma winner, and I'm not sure this is a good omen for Scott Dixon, but the Sonoma winner has never gone on to win the championship.
Another guy who looks really good here. They rolled off the trailer really well. That's Andretti Green Racing. Marco Andretti qualified for his first Firestone Fast 6 of the year. He's going to be starting 4th, and this is the home of his first victory in IndyCar Series 3 years ago.
Yep.
You'll also see Justin Wilson, who comes up here in row 10, but he's going to start at the back of the field because they decided to change their mind on what tire designation. He used no red tires at all in qualifying, so he has 3 brand new sets. But at the last moment, they said, hey, wait a minute, let's start on blacks, get them out of the way so we can use all these sticker reds. Jack?
Well, and yeah, that reflects a little bit of the way the respect people have for the Reds today. When you take a look at the way the grid lines up, the guy I like is going to be Elio Castroneves, who has decided to stir things up right from the beginning. Quite simply, they're going to start on scuffed blacks. There is no rule to use new blacks, but like Justin Wilson, their theory is they want to get rid of the blacks and go and run the majority of the race on the Firestone red alternate tires. I asked Tim Cindric about what was going to dictate that, and he said, well, basically we feel like in the early part of the race we're going to be able to hold people up and keep our position. Then, well, depending on what happens with the overtake button, maybe we'll be able to come in, get rid of the blacks, and go to the red. Now, what about the overtake rule? It's real simple. You get 15 shots at it for 15 seconds in duration. You can't keep the button depressed because after 15 seconds, it takes 10 seconds to recycle. You want my early pick to maybe run to the front and lead this thing and maybe win? I like what Cindric and Elio Castroneves have done. Forget about the points. It's time for us to shake things up.
And Jack, the interesting thing, I spoke to Elio about that choice. He said, I'm only making this choice because I'm way out out of the championship. I have to roll the dice. If I was near the front of the championship, I'd never take that gamble.
And one more thing to follow up on what both you guys are saying. I talked to Tim Sidrick. He said what's going to make that work is when we do the pit stops to come in for those sticker red tires is we need it to be under green conditions so they can make good out laps and in laps on those softer red Firestone tires.
Got some good onboard cameras that will enhance our coverage today. There's Justin Wilson. He, of course, will have the final starting spots, so it'll be interesting to see him move up through the field. There is the 06 of Oriol Servia, who'll be starting in 17th position this afternoon. Ryan Hunter-Ray also has an onboard camera. He starts in 16th position. Coming off a good run at Mid-Ohio, there's Tony Kanaan. He starts 7th, one of the AGR drivers, of course. Elio Castro-Neves will also have an onboard camera. He is starting alongside our pole sitter, Dario Franchitti, and there is his onboard camera. The field now is in turn number 7. Lindy Thaxton has an update. Lindy?
The team tells us they have a specific reason that they did that. They just don't want to share it. I can tell you right before the drivers pulled away, a lot of them were asking, why is Wilson in the back? Their strategists were telling them he changed the tires, and be aware he's got 3 brand new set of reds, and just remember that. Dale Coyne is the car owner. He's set to watch his driver in car in competition here this afternoon. There's Milka Duno in the 23 Citgo sponsored car. The field now comes up through the S's, through turn number 9 and 10.
And keep an eye on Briscoe. Briscoe mentioned in the interview in the pre-race show, can I put a move here on Dario? Can I somehow out-drag him up the hill? This will be a great drag race.
Now, they won't use this part of the course except for the start here and restarts. They will cut this corner right here. The field lined up nicely as they come off of the corner.
Briscoe got loose.
And the green flag is out. The green flag presented by Apex Brazil. Experience our energy.
And here's this big elevation climb right here, 14 stories. There's
we got contact.
Montagny.
Several cars involved. Dixon is in the middle of the racetrack.
Oh, there goes the keep it running. Keep it running.
Go, go. Push him down the hill and let him pop that clutch.
There's no reverse. There is no reverse, so he would have to go forward. Wow, we talked about championship and
we talked about, you know, yeah, he didn't qualify well because he had a brake problem, but anytime you're further back in the queue, this is what can happen. You get tangled up in somebody else's mess. There's just a lot more going on.
Graham Rahal has had contact, obviously, with that smoke coming off the back of his car.
They come down to turn number 7 for the first time. EJ Viso, it looks like, may have gone off course. He rejoins
he would have come from turn 4.
Yeah, and he's got his left front is out of whack. And like you say, you can come through 4.
Yeah, Kanaan is smoking as well. There were 4 or 5 cars.
Did you guys just see that debris flying off that wall, too? That's as you roll into 7 where that was coming
from. Full course caution. There's a lot of debris up where the first contact was, and there seems like there's a lot all over the racetrack.
We were surprised not to see that full course yellow a little bit sooner.
Okay, right off the start, Briscoe was in trouble because he broke traction. But watch, I believe it's Castro-Neves goes straight here. He's in trouble. Oh, it was Andretti chopped over the front of Rahal, but then behind him there was another 3 cars and Viso. Wow, that's
there's where Viso hurt on that black and green car right there. That was his
Montani in the wow.
Yeah, we saw him go off. So here, let's watch it again. Here's the uphill climb. A little bit further back in the pack. Wow. Did you guys see how what happened to Dixon there?
Now this time, let's look back around the Dixon area. Oh, he runs right into the back of Kanaan. Nobody hit him. He just got in there too hot.
Yeah, well, I think there's a little bit of
AFS car. That's Montani spinning around. He keeps it running. Danica was off.
From Oriol Servia.
Wow.
He got through there clean.
Yeah. So far, he hasn't anything. He's thinking, go, go, go. He's like, woo! What response did I just get?
Because we know he didn't.
Oh, no.
He didn't qualify as much.
Watch the black car of Andretti up ahead. That's the first contact, I believe. He pulls and makes contact right there with Rahal. But that was the hit from behind on Kanaan.
And I don't think really Kanaan slowed his pace too much. He just got hit from behind. He didn't actually check up. That being Kanaan, from what was in front of him.
There was contact for Hunter Ray, too.
Yeah, with Dornbos.
Wow, there's H.
Wow. Danica Patrick's in for repairs. Down to Jack.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long repair because the front end has been damaged on the right side. It's towing out. They're not quite sure what they're going to be able to do to affect repairs, but the 1+ is under the full course yellow. They do have some time to at least survey the damage and see if she can come back out. But it looks like her day may be cut very short in this boost car for AGR.
Wow.
There was a lot of contact in those first 2 corners. That was a lot of people.
That's the most we've seen all year.
TK has damage on the front end. Well, we're taking advantage here of no racing. We are under a full course caution. Stay with us. IndyCar nonstop coming up on Versus.
The IndyCar Grand Prix of...
To the top of the hill on the very first lap of this IndyCar race, and several teams are laid out, hoping that their driver will come in and some repairs can be made. Among them, Tony Kanaan and Scott Dixon, the championship points leader, who got in trouble. Here is Kanaan on pit lane. Notice the front of the car on the right there is flapping. Robbie, he's headed toward you.
Yes, he is, Bob, as he pulls in here. They're expecting a nose change, and that is going to be the case. They're unscrewing that. It looks like they're taking off those reds, the alternate tires, throwing on a set of scuffed, I believe. It looks like scuffed black tires going in. Now they're taking to the nose. A couple of teams are doing different things. They're either leaving on the same tires, even though they have a couple laps. Some are actually changing to the new tires. It looks like a set of scuffs for Tony Kanaan. Now, when you look down at Scott Dixon, they made that last-second decision to leave the tires on when Mike Hall originally told him that they would change to new tires. The main thing was leaving the tires on, filling up totally with fuel, so he has enough. And it looks like Graham Rahall's day may be done in the McDonald's car.
Wow. Down to Lindy.
We knew Graham was going to come in. He said he didn't think anything was wrong with the suspension. He thought he just needed a new nose piece and 4 tires. He started to take away, and it sounded like he stalled. As you can see, he's out of the car. We're going to find out what's wrong and get back with you.
Yeah.
Well, if we think about what we saw, it was Marco that came across his wing.
Right.
And they should be able just to replace that wing. So obviously something else has gone wrong for him to get out of the car right now, Jan.
Agreed.
We've learned that Graham Rahal broke the drive shaft on that car. That's why he's out, guys.
Okay, well, we knew that.
So here you get it repaired, and you're getting ready to get back into action. And we haven't seen many this year. The drive shafts have been much improved, but it is potentially a weak link.
Viso going behind the wall. We saw Danica Patrick pull out of the pit, so apparently they have at least part of the damage repaired on that car. But Newman, AGR, had a couple of cars involved in this incident.
Also worth noting, Scott Dixon did not lose a lap. So they did get him restarted, and he stays on the lead lap. Yes, maybe at the rear. But here they come for the restart. But not being down a lap, he's still alive.
Dario Franchitti leads the rest of the field off the final corner, and the green flag out once again for our Apex Brazil restart. Experience our energy. Up the hill they come, and let's hope they have a lot better luck this time than they did last time.
In the back of our minds, the strategy with regards to the Firestone red and black tires, you need to, on the red tires, you need to do 2 green laps of running. So the guys haven't done that yet with when you have to cycle through and have your fulfillment of running 2 laps on the blacks and 2 laps under green on the reds. That's still part of the strategy you need to think through here, as it all got shaken up with that big incident.
Elio Castroneves running in 3rd position up front. Dario Franchitti is leading his 8th race of the year, but only his 3rd on a road or street course, and he won the other 2 road races he has led, namely Long Beach and Toronto.
Dornbos had some lock up there and managed to hang on to the position. Wow, look at this Gold cars. Those were all the cars that got into trouble that are now trying to make up ground.
Including Scott Dixon. And Briscoe closes in on the leader, Franchitti.
Briscoe really was aggressive on that start, and he got wheel spin. He was just waiting and waiting, and he stood on it when the green came out, and the car lurched sideways. He had to back off. Very fortunate that he stayed in that 2nd spot. In fact, Castroneves had passed him until Castroneves went wide in turn number 2 on those black sidewalls.
Fellas, let me update you on Danica Patrick as well. The crew took a look at the front end. Nothing that was terminal in terms of suspension, although although the situation has occurred that the car is towing out, I like what Justin Wilson has decided to do. That early caution, he couldn't come in to change to the reds, but he's gained some positions. He's moved from the back of the pack, and he's starting to move up. Now he's fulfilled his black requirement with the Firestone tires. Next caution, watch for the Z-Line 18 to hit pit row and go red.
Yeah, he has gained half of the positions that he needs. He started 22nd, is running up in 11th position at the moment. Some of the other drivers who gained because of the incident, Dornbos up 9, Hunter Ray, Serbia, and Matos all gained 8 positions. And as they run right now, Ryan Briscoe has the points lead by 4 over Dario, and Scott Dixon drops to 3rd, 24 behind.
Now, of course, that's as they run. That can change a lot, but Dixon's crew, Justin Wilson's crew is set out for a pit stop. I wonder when they changed strategy and went to blacks, you don't have to fill the car up with fuel, Robbie. You could start it light if you wanted to, and here he comes.
On board, Hustler. There's the 60-mile-an-hour timeline. He wants to just hit his marks now. Lindy?
And we wondered if he would do this, and I just went up and asked Dale Coyne, is something wrong with the car? Why is he coming in? He said, no, the car is just fine. We just want to get on those reds, and it sounds like that's just part of his strategy all along.
He told me in the driver's meeting, hey, we have 3 sticker sets of reds. Let's make it a 3-stop race. You can see those are brand new red tires. He's going to lose a lot of track position, but he now will have a fast out lap, and he's going to have another brand new set of red tires. The main thing is you're off a sequence, and that's what we're talking. Jack was talking earlier for Helio Castroneves being off sequence. If the race shakes up, that's where you want to be.
And off sequence, and now he doesn't have any cars in front of him. He wants to run absolutely as hard and as fast as he can.
There's Mr. Dixon.
He's back into 15th position. TK right ahead of him in 14th. Meanwhile, up front, 1st and 2nd continue to run very closely together, separated by just about a half second. Well, the first 6 laps have been very, very interesting. We'll take a break and be back with more of the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma from Infineon Raceway. All right, we're on board with Dario Franchitti, the leader of the race, over Ryan Briscoe's, Castroneves, Muto running 4th, and Dan Weldon is running in the 5th position, although we hear that he may have a problem with a bent front wing. There's Ryan Briscoe chasing down Dario Franchitti. There is the area that the crash occurred in yesterday between Will Power and Nelson Philippe. There's Weldon in the National Guard car. See if we can see any damage.
Guys, I just want to talk about how much more comfortable Dan Weldon is coming into this race than he had the other road and street courses. His finishes there have been terrible, but they tested here a week ago Thursday, and they're really making minute adjustments. No major adjustments the entire time they've been here since practice yesterday, qualifying, and then warm up this morning. So he's got a car he likes much, much better. It's totally different than the car he had in the other road and street races.
Running in 5th position at the moment, and unfortunately an early out for Graham Rahal, Jack.
Well, Bob, it remains to be seen if it will be a permanent early out, because I understand the McDonald's team is going to try and get the car back ready for you to strap in.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can fix it. I don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, the first incident with Marco, I just had a really good start, and I tried to get up next to him. Once I saw it wasn't going to work, I was trying to bail out as quick as I could, and I still just clipped him, which wasn't the biggest thing. We came into the pits, and I didn't know if the half shaft was broken in the incident or the half shaft was broken because I released the clutch too early in the pits. But it's unfortunate because, I mean, basically, now a good result is out of our way.
Right, and when you know you're going to have to go back in a race car, and let's take a look at the replay one time, because you look like the meat in the sandwich, especially when we were starting to come up through the S's. From overhead, there you are.
I mean, you can see I'm trying to lift to get out of the way. It just doesn't work. And then a whole bunch of other stuff happens right after me. But to be honest, just got a really good start. I really did. And when Marco pulled to the left in front of Hideki, it was a good opportunity. And I didn't try to make anything happen, just tried to lift, and it didn't work.
Taking a look at Dario Serbia as well, and the situation with your teammate there. It's tough with Newman Haas Lanigan Racing. Are you beginning to feel the heat about getting back into victory lane?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. I feel like we've had the pace certainly pretty well everywhere this year. If you look at our qualifying average, I think there's very few that are better than us. But unfortunately, I keep making mistakes, and you know, we need to figure out a way to get back in victory lane. We keep doing small things that are really killing us, and it's frustrating right now.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. We know you got to go back to work, and I know it'll be a long day.
Thank you.
You know, very interesting, and hats off to Graham Rahal, who said, I was going to poke my nose up there and take the position, decided it wasn't going to work, and I was going to back off. Not saying that, you know, Andretti chopped me, or certainly it looked like Marco had, just like he said, had gone to the left and kind of opened the door, but certainly he admits that when you're in that position, you got to get out of it.
Well, Hideki Muto is the best among the Andretti Green drivers right now, finishing in 4th position, as many were involved. In fact, everybody else was involved in that first lap incident.
And I watched a little bit more as we saw some of those replays. I was trying to figure out, we saw that little mark on Weldon's car. He just went by. He had a little mark on his left front. I was trying to figure out, it looked like he got together with Danica. That's what put Danica out into the toolies there, is just a little contact with Weldon that just was set off in that full chain reaction.
Now here's red versus black. Muto is on the alternates. Obviously, we've documented well that Castro Neves is on the blacks. He'll be slower. His job, keep Muto behind him, even though he'll theoretically have a slower car, try to hang on to that track position. But Hideki says, I'm going after him.
Good battle for 3rd position, but up front it is Dario Franchitti with about an 0.8 of a second lead now on Ryan Briscoe. Franchitti has led all the laps so far. Dario Franchitti continues to lead. We look back on the 2nd place driver, Ryan Briscoe, separated by about 0.8 of a second. Here comes 3rd and 4th. That's Helio Castroneves and Hideki Muto. And then notice the change. There's Mario Moraes, who has moved around Dan Weldon. That happened a lap ago, and here's how it occurred.
Setting up for turn 7, a good clean pass, pulls alongside Weldon. Nice job, a little bit of lock up there, but he got the job done. Now Weldon just got to chase him back down.
Look how fast that car is. We know that this car has been fast so many places. Mario Moraes, I mean, we saw him climbing all over this morning in that warm-up. We documented that well about he and Castro Neves. This is a fast car. He's now in clean air. Look at him go.
Yep. And then what? It's just a fast car. Talking about fast cars, I'm looking at the fastest laps turned by anybody right now. Briscoe has set the fastest lap, the fastest single lap. The next guy, remember who came in for those sticker red tires, and he's got more of them. That's Justin Wilson. He set the next fastest lap. And right now, again, we know Wilson's MO is just drive as hard as he can to try and come back up this field, and then sequence through with track position and pit stops.
Now for Mario, we heard him and Helio talk about that they spoke together this morning in the drivers' meeting about that incident. They did the whole thing in Portuguese, and then Alonso Jr. came in and said, okay, Heyman, I don't tell me in English. I want to be sure you guys are cool. And everybody was all fine and friendly when it was over.
But it was a toned down Portuguese, because I was also standing not far from you, and I didn't hear any yelling or shouting. It was a toned down Portuguese.
Of course, Mario Moraes drives for KV Racing Technology. Half the ownership was with Jimmy Vasser. Lindy?
And Mario advanced 7 spots in the first lap alone. He was 4th fastest in this morning practice. What's he saying about the car right now?
He hasn't said much, but we knew the car was good in the morning warm-up, and he's made some great passes. Obviously, we kept it clean through the mayhem in the first corner, but as we can see here, he's reeling in Muto. Got a great race plan. We know he has the speed to do it, so we're pretty optimistic.
I heard him say earlier he was feeling a little bit of vibration. Is that better now?
Yeah, we had to change our front brake rotor after warm-up. Sometimes that happens, but I mean, that Azul car looks great on track. It's flying. I think we're going to be good late.
Jimmy Vasser, thank you.
Thank you.
Mario Moraes in last year's race started 12th and finished in 10th position. And here's the reaction that Vasser had when he saw Mario get a ran down Weldon to pick up the position. Go, go.
That's the go to the front.
Well, he's worked so much with Mario, not just on car setup, but on driving technique. And when you have a guy who's lightning fast, but he has to work on racecraft, that's what Jimmy's been helping him with.
And remember, Mario is only 20 years old, and this is his second full season in the IndyCar Series. I mean, so his learning curve is absolutely steep, and what a better guy to do that, Jimmy.
Bright future ahead. Robbie Bryan continues to run in second spot.
Yeah, running strong. I think you said he had the fastest lap just a moment ago. You talk about the excitement from Vassar. I'm in the Penske pit, and I looked over at Roger Penske. I said, is there any reason to do anything right now? And he goes, why would we? We're not racing him. We're racing Scott Dixon. Him meaning Dario Franchitti. I think he's happy where he is, even though he's turning fast laps, but he's still thinking about that number 9 car that's behind.
And Dixon is mired way back in 15th position at the moment.
But what Scott Dixon will do is he'll ride around in that 15th position, and he'll save fuel like the Dickens, and maybe he'll try another Mid-Ohio, go a whole lot more laps than anyone else, and then maybe we'll see him back in the picture.
Guys, as you ride aboard Helio Castroneves, you notice that there isn't any red sidewalls, there's white sidewalls. That means he's still on the blacks. I talked to Tim Cindric and I said, how is your strategy working out? And I like what he's talking about. He said, if you look ahead, we've got clear sailing. As long as we can continue to not be overtaken by Hideki Muto and make the times that we are, let's run the string out as far as we can. Means we'll have more available in terms of the alternate tires. I said, when do you think that you would begin to consider pitting off sequence? And Yana was interesting. He said, if by happenstance we start to close up, well, then we'll come in and go to the reds. Until then, we'll try and make fuel here.
And, Jack, I have a feeling they may not go off sequence. They'll just try and stay alive to get on sequence. We'll have to wait to see how that shakes out.
And he's also going to always have clear track in front of him, that being Helio, because he's actually running about 6-7 tenths slower than Briscoe in front of him, who's on the reds.
The captain, Roger Penske, shows his drivers running in second and third position as Dario Franchitti continues to lead the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma. A big mess on the opening lap of this race, but everything is running okay now, except for the fact that a lot of the top contenders like Kanaan, Dixon, Andretti, Wilson, they're all back at the rear of the field as Dario Franchitti leads this race, has since the drop of the green flag. And Ryan Briscoe runs second now. Of course, Dario wants to lead as many laps as he can because he can prevent Ryan from earning the 2-point bonuses or leading the most laps. And at this points battle, every point is very, very important. We're showing you the inner between the leader and Scott Dixon, who is back in the 15th position. He is way back there. There's Ed Carpenter, Mike Conway. Here comes Kanaan in 14th. Dixon, Frank Montani running in 16th position behind Scott Dixon.
And that's that switch back of corners on the back straightaway where we said, you know, it's flat out for these drivers, but if they miss their turn-in point, if they get behind, like a ski racer would get behind on hitting his gates, then you got to get out of the throttle.
You also saw in nonstop that Scott Dixon's not just motoring around saving fuel. He's struggling. He's having a hard time keeping up with Kanaan. Doesn't mean he's not saving fuel, but this is not simply a patented Scott Dixon ride around save fuel run. He's got some trouble.
Well, we knew he had some brake problems in qualifying. He said it was much better this morning, but the way Montani really closed on him under braking a 7, I gotta think he's maybe fighting his brake pedal feel again.
In any case, he's a full 2 seconds behind the leader of the race. Jack?
Fellas, I find it interesting. Remember the big question mark we were talking about before the start of the race? How do you best use your overtake button to give you that burst of speed that you need? Looking at Franchitti, he's not used it at all. Briscoe has used one. Castroneves and Muto and all those guys. But let's go down to Ryan Hunter-Reay. As we ride on board the ABC Supply, he has tried to use it. He's used half of them already. 8 are all that remain for this guy that we ride on board. He's using it as he continues to try and chase down Bobby D. Dornbos in the 33. And he's trying to use that overtake. But the problem is, he's only got 8 punches left for 15 seconds in duration each time. You got to use discipline, Jan, when you've got that overtake button. Don't let it lure you into coming to that second half of the race and being out of OT.
This is a tough place to pass, Jack, and you first want to use the OT button to get yourself into position, then maybe use it again. But with that 10-second recharge, timing is everything. And like you said, you press the button and you don't get it done, you're like, oh man, there goes another one of my pushes.
and the overtake, it's not a guaranteed, oh, if I use it, no, I'm going to pass the guy. It just maybe creates a little bit of opportunity so you can get alongside him. Not get it done, just maybe create a little more opportunity.
Should be seeing the first round of pit stops very quickly, so we'll take another break and get it out of the way as Ryan Hunter-Reay runs in the 8th position behind the leader of the race, Dario Franchitti. Stay with us on Nonstop. And Scott Dixon is in for a pit stop.
The only reason you would stop now is if they want to make some kind of change on the car. We saw him struggling. No visible changes, but remember, you can do a ton with tire pressure. They could have given him a completely different tire pressure setup because obviously he was struggling. New skins and possibly new pressures, but no wing adjustments we could see.
But remember, he didn't change tires on that initial stop, so maybe those tires were just flat spotted from that initial incident. So maybe they really didn't make a lot of changes because of a flat spot or something.
And I was running down and they asked Scott, well, how about the wing? He said no problems there, so that's why they didn't have an adjustment with the front wing. When they put fuel, again, I'm calling this from all the way down there, Mike Hull said, don't worry about fuel. We'll take care of that later. So fuel position 1, go ahead and run full ridge, and we'll concern ourselves with the fuel later.
Already 1/3 of this race has been run. Of the 75 laps, we've completed 25, and Franchitti has led all the way so far. And here is Marco Andretti on pit lane.
Really big bump as you make that little bend coming onto pit road there. You see every car just hit that, and their tires just bounce and a little bit of air underneath there. Very violent.
Kyle Moyer calling in his driver, giving him the countdown, 3, 2, 1. They are going to take the black tires off and go to the Firestone alternate tire. Now remember, he was collected at the end of the race. So back on sequence, so to speak, as they take a full fuel load of ethanol, guys.
So in a way, Jack, he is somewhat on a similar strategy. Oh, here comes Dixon.
Do you guys remember a couple years ago?
Isn't that a great indicator of an out lap versus a hot lap?
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
That's hot tires versus not up to pressure or hot yet. There's no tire warmers in this series. That's why timing is everything.
I remember when I saw that. You remember the incident a couple years ago where Marco and Franchitti got together when they were coming up turn 1 there, and one of them was coming out of the pits? Woo!
Dan Weldon is also on pit lane. He relinquishes 6th position, and Robbie Floyd, you should see him.
As he makes the left-hand turn, comes down. He's next just in front of Hideki Muto's pit. The National Guard number 4 was talking about understeer. The left front wing, the sideboard, and you can see it's clearly broke. The left front is broke. They may take a wing adjustment, but it's not going to be the case. They had an extra wing here, but they did not make that change. It is visibly broke. If you can take a look in tight there to that left front.
So Weldon moves back out onto the racetrack.
And you can see they put more wing in that car. And like Robbie said, that left front end plate definitely has some damage on it, but it doesn't look like it's doing anything that's really hurting the efficiencies of the way that front wing works.
And here's Graham Rahal, who is back in the McDonald's-sponsored car, hoping to get out there and earn some positions. He is currently next to last, 21st, having completed only 2. EJ Viso is the only car officially out of the race. By the way, the 33, Robert Dornbos, did make a pit stop just a few minutes ago. Elio Castro-Neves is also on pit lane, getting rid of a tear off. Robbie?
All's fine and happy with the car. That's what I've been told. The red tires are out. His crew pulls up. Elio Castro-Neves, you don't see anybody making that move up towards the front of the car. Doesn't look like any type of adjustments whatsoever. A fuel load of fuel. I think that's what's key here right now. Red Firestone Firehogs, and back out it goes.
Ryan Hunter-Reay getting a full fill of ethanol. He's back out on the track.
With a different strategy, obviously has to get those 2 green laps on the blacks as well.
60 miles an hour is a paid speed limit on and off pit lane. Now he accelerates and begins to climb the hill. And there is Weldon.
Weldon's got it done. And when Elio, I noticed when Elio went out and with that tire change, he went with the red sidewalls, but they were scuffed red. So he still got his fastest sticker red tires for that last final stop, and that's going to be his payday.
And they made an experiment this morning in the warm-up. Here comes Briscoe, his teammate. They said when you leave the pits on blacks, you lose 1 second. It's a second faster in a lap on an out lap if you're on reds. Briscoe's now going to, well, we assume he's going to go on blacks for the middle stint.
And that's why a green stop, pit stop is so key for taking advantage either of the reds or the black, however you're looking at it.
Great overhead shot, Robbie.
Number 6 now decides to pull in as his crew takes off the reds and throws on another scuff set. It looks like a little bit of ball action with a new set of Firestone blacks, but he had a bobble with the fuel right there. That's definitely going to cost him, Lindy.
That was close. Reds off and they put the blacks on. They were hoping to get to lap 25, and they didn't have to pit until 27.
Boy, Lindy, that was close. He was actually lighting up the tires before they disconnected the fuel. You look back, you see Oriol Servia as well as Rafael Matos getting service. So far, Franchitti has not hit pit road, and you've got obviously Briscoe out there hot-footing it at the same time that our leader is trying to build a gap.
Ray Hall's car being pushed back onto pit lane.
Well, what a great camera angle we had there to watch what happened with Marias as we saw him try and pull back with that probe and just get hung up.
All right.
Now look at the bump. Here's the bump section right in. There's that big bump.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah, they painted it white so they would know how to miss it. Don't forget about Briscoe. He is out there flying. We'll find out if Franchitti made up enough time on that in-lap.
The subtleties of it all. Robbie Floyd.
I'm sure Dario Franchitti quite conscious about Ryan Briscoe out there as they take off the reds, throwing a brand new set of blacks, trying to get that full set of fuel. Not one adjustment. That looks like time for the target Chip Ganassi crew. Again, not much talk from this camp. I think the car is that good for him right now because no adjustments for the number 10.
There's Ryan.
Where is Ryan Briscoe? There he is.
Handily. Beat him handily. That shows if you can go one lap longer, that's a great advantage. Uh-oh, missing wing for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And he'll enter pit lane. Scott Dixon is back there with Ed Carpenter and Richard Antonucci. Here's Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Coming down to turn 7 right here, which is as good a passing zone as you got. Not enough.
No.
You got to get up a little further alongside. We know Ryan Hunter-Reay has been using his overtake button a lot to this point.
And Oriol Servia gave him some room. Oriol Servia just didn't dive to the apex. He knew he was coming, but unfortunately for Ryan Hunter-Reay, you know, he had an opportunity, but you got to get farther up the net.
All right, nose piece is replaced, and away he goes.
Now, AJ won't be too upset about that. I mean, okay, boy, you were going for it. You were going for position. That's okay. That's what we like. Just fight.
And the balance is his race car should be the same. Let's just replace that front nose cone.
Tony Kanaan has moved up to 3rd spot, and he stays out. Justin Wilson comes in. He had moved up to 4th.
This is where we really want to see where Justin Wilson cycles back out. Jack?
Justin Wilson will come in, and remember, we told you at the top of the show, he has got 3 brand new sets of Firestone Reds. The second new set sticker tires go on Justin Wilson's car. No adjustments vis-a-vis wing. An 8.5 second. But that's the time in the box. How quick can he get back and get back up to speed? Will he be able to gain a couple of more spots? When he did it, he was mid-pack, guys.
Oh, and he just lost one to Carpenter and maybe to Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon's got to keep that momentum, you would think, with long tires, but he doesn't.
Oh, Scott goes off the course momentarily.
Oh, where is he? Where is he? He's back. Oh, he comes. Even the camera couldn't find him. There he is. Oh, he got me. Where's Dixon?
Dixon's by him.
Where's he? He's on my left. He's on my right. No, he's not.
But Dixon, I mean, we saw, you know, Wilson, remember back to St. Pete when he went out on sticker tires, was a brilliant drive of that race.
Antonucci in the black. He's coming after him.
Yeah, man. But Wilson just steps it up, and Antonucci down the inside.
Yeah, that was nice.
Uh-huh.
Kanaan, of course, had been on pit road, so he could go longer.
And
back
he
again.
Comes in finally.
And he might have taken a little bit too long to come in, guys. They're saying it's going to be really close on fuel. The way this team was setting up just a moment ago, I think they expected him the lap before. They threw a little more fuel in the tube, and they're setting things up. They're going to throw a used set, a Firestone Reds on, Danica just behind him. But really, the fuel's the key. Because everyone having to Justin Wilson, that's not going to be the case with Tony Kanaan. And the number 7 takes off right behind him. So no stalling there, even though they were very concerned on the ethanol.
So both TK and Danica move back out, and Robert Dornbos is right behind TK as they get up to speed. And
we've seen this before.
Yep.
Got him. He just takes a few corners to get spooled up. And Danica's got a whole bunch of people behind her trying to do the same thing. It just happened to Kanaan.
Very tough to hold somebody back on those first 2 corners when you come out of the pits.
Over the blind approach. Look at that, Robbie.
He's going to dive right there. There it is. He should be alongside. That's a clean pass.
At the same time, Antonucci pulls off a clean pass, and Wilson's trying to go with Antonucci. That's 2 positions down for Danica. Now Montani has a go. Wow, side by side. Now Marco.
There, look at there's a dive.
Here comes Marco. I gotcha.
Great pass. Did you see he was right on the gearbox and did the quick dive right to the braking zone. Perfect.
And Robbie, he used the overtake button for the first time to initiate that pass. He hit that button. It gave him 15 seconds of added horsepower.
Well, he timed that right. We said, when are people going to use it to their advantage and make sure it works? He did for that.
Dario Franchitti has not used his overtake assist button. He still has all 15 available to him. And he is about 1 second ahead of Ryan Briscoe. Castro Neves remains 3rd, Muto 4th, and Marias running 5th. Jenkins, Jan Beekes, Robbie Buell, Jack Arute, Robbie Floyd, and Lindy Thaxton back at Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. We have seen some really good close racing here in the first 33 laps of this race. We're on board with Justin Wilson, but up ahead is Richard Antonucci. This is 14th and 15th. Antonucci, of course, is the nephew of former Indy 500 winner Eddie Cheever. He is basically the road course driver for this 3G team, and he's shown flashes of brilliance this year.
And ever since he got on board with Greg Beck and that 3G team at Watkins Glen, they keep improving the car, get better and better. Owen Snyder, the engineer on that, this morning I said to him, he said, we're getting there, we're learning, and Richard's learning too. But he's got his mirrors full right there, that guy, Justin Wilson. But he hasn't cracked. He has not cracked. They were on board with Wilson, Antonucci right in front.
Now check out the in-lap for Franchitti and Briscoe. So Briscoe is the winner of that one. And then on the way out, Muto is the winner on the out lap. So those are critical laps, Robbie.
And Muto, did you think you'd have him winning that out lap right there?
He's been great this weekend.
The focus has been great. And Kim Green said, Muto really has gotten good and focused on improving the subtle things as a driver that make you better.
Here comes Mike Conway. He's having a fantastic weekend. Remember, fastest man in testing, fastest driver this morning in the warm-up. Stay clean. Robbie, I know you got to be happy about that through the first corner, and he's moving up.
He is currently running in 7th position. Weldon, of course, is 6th. Now, both of them are about 25 seconds behind the leader, but they certainly are having a spirited duel. And a nice-looking car also, Mike Conway's.
It is a little different color combination. That's actually a wrap. That's all a vinyl wrap that we did to change on that car to make it black from the normal blue with the different sponsors on there. It's Trans Systems this weekend, so they got a big contingent here. And like you say, I was just happy to see Mike not be part of that melee or whatever other words we've used for that turn 1 incident.
So you could park that car and peel that wrap off and it would go back to last week's look?
Yes.
Very good.
With a paint base, you still would have to put a graphic of Dad's back on it or Charter, whoever it may be, but the base behind there is all blue. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
Is that
technology.
Cheaper? Is that cheaper?
Okay, well, you don't have to tell us.
Engineers don't like it if you're at a super speedway because it just isn't quite as clean, though. Road courses is okay.
Scott Dixon up to 12th. He's behind Robert Dornbos. All these guys are on the same lap, and here's
No,
Dixon.
he's not there. He's not there.
Abort, abort.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it looked like he was going to get the run. Then you saw, no, you're not going to get that done. And Dornbos did a good job just to give him enough of a window that they didn't get together.
Dornbos is a pretty cool cucumber. He's not going to get rattled by that, even if it is Scott Dixon. He's pretty confident in his abilities, and he's not going to open the door.
Down to Robbie Floyd with Chip Ganassi.
I'm with Chip, and I was going to ask you questions about Dario, but when you're watching this, that's still your car, the number 9. What are your thoughts?
I mean, right now my thoughts are on the 10. I'm not really paying much attention to the 9. Obviously, it was unfortunate there at the start what happened to him. You'll have to ask Mike about him.
As far as the number 10 goes, I haven't heard anything from Dario out there, and he hasn't been too happy with the car on road courses lately. What's been the turnaround today? Because, I mean, he obviously seems happy.
I mean, he felt bad because his teammate came out here and did all the testing a few weeks ago, and Dario's taking advantage of it, you know, and that's what being a team's all about. In one respect, it's unfortunate they're not both up there right now.
Are you happy with everything that's going away right now? I mean, he's out in front. Is it one of those he's going fast and saving fuel deals?
So far, so good. He's saving enough fuel. Going to give us a little bit of strategy maybe here later in the race. We got tire things going on with the Penske cars. We're looking to see which way they go on tires. We're okay right now.
Interesting point, Chip, talking about that. Had the weekend off last week. Well, Scott did the test. Dario got to watch a little bit, and everybody did a little public service going to the Target House in Nashville for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So it was a busy week last week, even though it wasn't a race weekend.
Well, it's interesting when we heard Chip say, okay, we're keeping a guy on the Penske car and what they're doing with regards to tires. And just looking at lap times right now with Dario and Ryan Briscoe, who are now on the black tires. They're running about a second slower. Look at, he's all over Montagne there.
And these are teammates.
But Elio, who's now on the Reds, is running a second a lap faster than those two guys that are first and second, Dario and Ryan.
Yeah, Chip's saying, we're keeping an eye. They know that Elio's coming and has a different viewpoint.
Elio is catching to Ryan, catching up to Ryan.
And so he's been doing that at a second a lap faster to come right on the gearbox of his teammate.
All first three separated by just a little over a second. That second car up ahead is the leader, Franchitti, and Briscoe is right ahead of Elio.
And Elio said that the choice for tires was as much his. I mean, it was a team decision. They didn't tell him, okay, we're starting on blacks. He wanted to also roll the dice. And now because he's running there in the top 3, theoretically, this is when you want to make hay. When you have your two competitors out there on the blacks and you have the reds, this is when you have to cash in.
And he has cashed in by getting on the tail of Briscoe, but this is a whole nother game. How do I get up alongside him and cleanly make the pass? That's a whole different level at this point.
We are halfway through the Indycar Grand Prix of Sonoma. We'll watch this battle on Indycar nonstop on Versus while we take a break with Dario out front. At the Indycar Grand Prix of Sonoma, it's pretty close. Dario Franchitti leads Ryan Briscoe and Elio Castroneves. As they run right now, Briscoe has a 4-point advantage on Dario Franchitti, but Dario has clinched the 2 bonus points for leading the most laps today. That gives him 10 bonus points for the year, the same as teammate Scott Dixon. Briscoe has 9 bonus points for the season. Robbie?
Key point is also Elio Castroneves just behind Ryan Briscoe. I had to go up and ask Roger Penske that question that everyone doesn't want to ask. Are there any team orders? If Elio gets by Ryan Briscoe, in effect, Dario now would possibly take that points lead. So is there any team orders? Does Elio stay back and both try and push forward? He just smiled at me. I can't even explain, like a Cheshire cat. Didn't say a word, but he says, we're fine. We're on blacks. Elio's on reds. That's why he's going a little bit faster.
And it's a little bit early for that. And speaking of Penske, I can tell you I just got a text message from the hospital in Santa Rosa that Will Power's watching the show. He wants to be driving along with Nelson Fleet. They're both watching, recuperating. So, Will, we wish you well. You know that you would probably be right amongst these three cars. There's no question that Will Power would be right in the mix of it, and hope you get back soon, Will.
Boy, no kidding. That was just so frightening. And to think that we know you're laid up for a while, Will, but you're a very lucky person.
Hey guys, I'm taking a look at this point in the race, and who do I like and who do I not like? We talked a little bit about Ryan Briscoe, but let's take a look at the leader for just a second. Last time out, Franchitti was able to stretch it. He was able to get one extra lap on his competition in terms of pitting. Now, what's going to pay off back down when he goes to his next stop is the ability for him to be able to come in one lap later. What does that mean? Well, Jan, you know, don't have to take so much fuel to pack it in. And even in these little split seconds, if it's under green, that's going to be an advantage. But I think you can say the same for Elio Castroneves. Now, he wasn't able to stretch his mileage, but right now, Tim Cindric has told him to do exactly that. Says we need to get a little better mileage. I think Team Penske wants to try and keep pace with Dario Franchitti in terms of the number of laps they do on their full fuel loads. Say that 6 times swiftly.
While we watch 11th and 12th here, Dixon, there's Montany, who got off course and is getting back up to speed. Montany in his debut in the IndyCar Series had a little incident with Richard Antonucci, we understand. Rafa Matos is up there ahead of Tony Kanaan, and Matos is having a good race for Lusso Dragon Racing, running in 9th spot. And more on that from Lindy.
And Rafa Matos has had a long week after he tested here last weekend. He went to Brazil to be with his mom for her 3rd round of chemotherapy. He has a pink ribbon on his car. He is complaining of a little bit of understeer. They are considering making some tire pressure adjustments.
And Lindy, he told me this morning that the reason they were struggling is they had 2 or 3 things, Robbie, they were working on, like going over the top of the hill, some high-speed push, or this. In other words, they finally had to say, we can't find a compromise. We have to figure out the one thing we need to fix. They tried to always keep fixing 3 things at a time. They said, as soon as we picked out what's the most important and worked on that, he went straight forward.
Yeah, and it's so tough to figure out what it is when you're changing 3 variables at once. You got to do 1 each time so you know what it is. And just as we were watching that, we talk about the overtake button to pass somebody. Again, it is a good defensive tool, and right when we were talking about Rafa, he was going to that button to protect his position against that guy right there, Tony Kanaan.
And Montany has come into pit lane. And they have the nose off the car. Montany driving the AFS, that's automatic fire sprinklers. This team, of course, fields a 2-car team in the Firestone Indy Lights for J.R. Hildebrand, the points leader in the series, and Sebastian Saavedra.
And Montany, of course, did all the testing for Andretti Green Racing at this racetrack. He came similar to what we heard Scott Dixon did the testing for Target Chip Ganassi Racing, and obviously he must have found a good setup.
Yep.
Other than the first corner, they've been fast.
So here's that instant. There he is, Montany going down the inside as they go into turn 11, and Antonucci was coming down in.
And you can see it bent the left front suspension. That's why he's in the pits now. You can clearly see that upper A-arm was bent.
And probably enough of a contact where it bent something on the right front of Antonucci. We'll see if he gets in the pits here in a second.
1st, 2nd, and 3rd right here. 45 laps completed, 30 more to go in the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma. Franchitti leads. The first 3 continue to run very, very closely together, especially 2nd and 3rd, as Elio has been right on the rear wing of Ryan Briscoe for the past few laps. Dario leads, Briscoe 2nd, and Elio is in 3rd. On board with Elio through turn 10. Well, we mentioned that Will Power has texted Jan, and here is the crash. Will, if you don't want to see it, look away, but here's what happened yesterday. This is the first one with Nelson Philippe getting off course, and this is the second one.
Nelson is watching as well. Nelson, you might want to look away for this one. EJ Viso wasn't using all the track, but look at that. Full throttle up over the top of the hill. The yellow lights, the yellow flag was out, but he was already committed. And look at that damage. Will, we're glad. I know that you're discouraged and want to be driving, but man, oh man, are we glad that you're going to recover.
And it's about 102 miles an hour when we looked at that, Jan, that you crest that hill at 3A.
And, you know, you got to think about Nelson Felipe was watching as well. You could see him looking up the track. He knew, he's thinking, he must have been thinking, oh, please, nobody come over the hill. Please, please.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Kanan.
TK trying to get to the inside of Matos. Can't get the job done. So they continue to run 9th and 10th. Rafa 9th, TK 10th.
And TK will get another run up there on Rafa. It looks as though Rafa's on the black side. Ooh, he's a little bit wide as he's coming through there. That may set up TK for a good run to 7. Not close enough, but it is the Firestone Reds versus the Blacks, and TK's on the Reds.
Milka Duno enters pit lane. She finds herself 2 laps down, running in 19th spot. And Elio trying to get to the inside of Brian.
You know what I was just going to say before that? Sorry, if I was Ryan Briscoe, I would really like to be in his position right now because my teammate's behind me. And if anybody's going to come challenge me for the points or championship, I got my teammate behind me that's going to protect me. Right then, his teammate went down, took a look at him going into turn 2.
And Scott Dixon will come in for his pit stop, next scheduled pit stop.
Wow. He is going to have to save fuel to make it to the end. He's in the very early part of the window, Robbie. This is a bit on the early side.
He comes in 11th place, and he was back as far as 15th place. Mike Hall said there were no changes, nothing else. He's just going to try and get that full load of fuel, that ethanol. He's just going for position right now and trying to stretch it as far as he possibly can. You see, they held it. They got every last drop into that target car.
And, Robbie, this is a case we talk about a lot. You want to be the first person to make the last stop. If there were a caution now, that would be a free pass for Dixon up the front. You wouldn't do it if you're leading, but that's a protection in case there's a full course caution.
It is, and he is very early on making that stop. I mean, he's got to run 28 laps, and if it goes green. So right now he is in full lead, and they're going to do everything they can to make fuel. And he's as good as anybody doing it, Scott Dixon. So it may work.
Mario Marias in 5th position. This happened just a moment ago. Into 9, locks him up, and misses the corner.
And that is okay, but he cannot maintain that position. He has to give that position up to the car behind him.
But the definition is if he's on your rear wing. Is what they said in the driver's meeting. So was he on the rear wing, or was he not quite on the rear wing?
I say yes, he was close enough.
I say he wasn't. All right, good, we got one.
All right.
Well, no, you know, if there wasn't that runoff there, or if there was a wall or something else, he'd be out of it anyhow. Yeah. So he should give up that position.
And here, moments ago, was Elio.
Same spot.
Yep, same spot, trying to get by Briscoe. Wow.
More Briscoe having trouble coming in.
Well, and you got to think now with that moment there and what we saw with Elio challenging up in turn 2, he's probably going to go by his teammate here in the next lap.
Let me take you back to Milwaukee. Do you remember when the roles were reversed and Ryan Briscoe was looking at a lap to Elio Castroneves, and Briscoe was the gentleman and waiting and waiting and waiting, and actually many people feel as if the wind slipped through his fingers in a scenario just like this. Well, Ryan Briscoe is a team player, but Robbie Buell, you know, that was a litmus moment, a turning point in Ryan Briscoe. No more Mr. Nice Guy. So if Elio does try to pass his teammate, forget team orders and forget, pardon me, mind if I play through. Regardless of what's on the side of those 2 cars, they'll go at it hammer and tong.
No question. You and I talked about that, Jack, and it was a year ago that Briscoe won there at Milwaukee, letting everybody know and letting the team know, I can do this for you. And it was this year he said, you know what, I got to fight for myself here, and we're seeing just that, Jack. Great call.
Moments ago, we go on board with TK. It's the same place, turn 9. And he missed the corner.
But he's going to come back on behind Rafa. There's Wilson. Everybody's correct. Everybody's happy there. There's no correction. He gave that spot up to Wilson. Wilson had the momentum. I'm not sure he gave it up, but anyhow, that's all fair play in terms of the way they are making the rules for that off and on in turn 9 and 9A.
Hey, guys, I got a question for you upstairs. We're seeing so much of that through that area. And at this point in the race, with just 25 laps to go, could it be a case that the brakes on these cars are getting a bit mushy, and then maybe they're not responding as we watch this battle between the two-car Matos and Justin Wilson? Is there a little less pedal now?
No question about it. I think that's just it. You know, there's so much temperature that we've had in these guys. We haven't had any yellows that's allowed these guys to get off the brake pedals to cool them down. So the brake pedal is getting very, very hot. Those rotors get very hot, and that pedal just gets a little long and a little soft, and that's probably just what we're seeing in that big brake zone.
Dan Weldon in, Robbie.
The number 4 car comes in, talking about a little bit of push. Remember, that left front wing is broken. They're not going to change that, but he is throwing a brand new set of red Firestone Firehawk. He has a fresh set of tires to go just as he makes his way out. The number 27 of Deki Muto sets up, and he has scuffed reds ready to go out.
His teammate Marco Andretti at the same time gets his stop. Look how close the top 3 are. We've got a battle on our hands before the last pit stop.
Well, we know these are the key laps right now. Right, the pit-in laps, the laps before you're going to come on to pit road. Get everything you can.
They were so close to Dario. I wonder if Dario had a bit of a moment because they were right on top of him.
This next round of pit stops amongst these 3 guys right here is going to be fantastic to see how that shakes out.
And now the 27 makes his way up. The scuffed reds. Kim Green said that he was looking forward to those scuffed reds going on there. He thinks they're a lot faster. Again, making sure they have a full accompaniment of fuel. And they do that as he comes down in a little over 11.9 seconds. Lindy?
Mario Moraes comes in. He gets no changes in red tires. As you know, he missed the last race when his father passed away. He is dedicated, driving a great race today for his dad. So far, so good. Every other lap, they're telling him, Mario, stay smart and stay smooth.
Well, he is with that. Did you see it was 11.9 seconds waiting on fuel there?
For Muto?
For
yeah,
Muto.
It seemed like an eternity.
It did. We were watching. It's like, come on, come on.
Come on, let's go, let's go.
Rafa Matos goes back onto the course.
Oh!
Boy, this is
Briscoe
really
had
good
a moment
up front.
into 9.
Holy, thanks for taking us on board there. Gosh, we all went back in our seats. Okay, here's the first round of these top 3. Let's see how this shakes out.
And he was the one who needed to save fuel, though, and he's yet the first to pit. I think you want to go longer. I think this plays to Dixon. Excuse me, Franchitti.
And evidently word was that Helio Castroneves lost a little bit of time coming in, so he's hoping his pit crew can make up that differential. Takes off the worn Firestone Firehawk reds, puts on a brand new set of sticker reds, and he's back out. That was a quick time, but again, they made a comment, said they thought he lost a little time coming in.
Well, yeah, because he had his teammate from him struggling in turn 9. You can't blame him for that one. He almost, look at that.
Whoa. Mike Conway gets some fresh rubber and some ethanol and back on the course.
When you go out on stickers, it's wild.
And remember, sticker reds are about 1.5 seconds faster than your black tires when you're on sticker tires. So a huge gap.
Scott Dixon back in 12th spot. Hasn't been a factor because he was involved in the first lap shunt.
And he was the first of all these guys to make that round of pit stops, so he's already been in for service.
Here's his issue in turn number 9. Same thing that we've seen.
So that means that Weldon, Kanaan, Carpenter, Antonucci, Moraes, and Dixon have all had problems there in the last few laps.
Yeah, it absolutely has to be something with, look at this, look at that, Kanaan!
Oh, that was Kanaan on Castroneves as his teammates in.
How about that shot? But the brake pedals are definitely getting soft on these guys, right?
Dario
No question about it.
So Dario has done the extra lap that may make the difference. You can't do a faster stop than that. That was fantastic for your last one, but Dario's still out there at full speed.
Briscoe needs to get after it right now. This is his out lap on cold tires. What can he do from here back to the start-finish line?
Here's Kanaan going to the inside of Castroneves, the exact same place that he got together with Moraes. the lap that he was trying to make hay to try and be sure that he caught up to his teammate.
Yeah.
And that's not going to help.
And that was Wilson, who we were looking back at that all originally. Here it is again. Good run.
Oh, but it took a long time to develop. It took a long time. And you know, Elio was giving him room. He knew he was coming. He tried everything he could.
But Elio broke pretty late, too.
Oh, he's got some damage.
Little damage. You can see that smoke out of the right rear. Something is creating temperature there.
Yeah, it's dragging on the tire. And here comes Dario. If he has a quick stop, he should be able to blow out in the lead.
Unless Briscoe had just a huge outlet.
Well.
All right, let's see how the stop goes.
Why you run the race.
20 to go, 20 laps to go.
Okay, those are scuffed reds. Theoretically, you come up to temperature faster. Wow, that was a good one.
Less than 7 seconds.
All right, where's Ryan?
I think sticker reds are as good as anything of coming back up to temperature.
He should pop under the bridge just about now.
Franchitti definitely laid down. His in-lap was good because we didn't even see Briscoe there coming through turn 1.
He just was popping under that bridge as we cut to Kanaan.
Here's TK stop.
Boy, his week has not started off well. Earlier in practice yesterday, he actually broke the shaft that goes into the master cylinder. It almost could have been an ugly situation for TK. Right now, I think it's fuel that they've been most concerned with. They throw on the red scuffed tires, and this guy who won here back in the inaugural season, 2005, and he's having nothing like that easy race he did back in 05.
Speaking of easy race, Robbie, Dario Franchitti came out way ahead of Ryan Briscoe, showing that if you can run longer, you can take advantage of that. Amazing that Castro Neves is still going. That piece of bodywork that was rubbing must have rubbed itself off, but there is a definite large mark on his right rear tire. You can see it from there.
Yeah, it looked like it was that right rear wheel ramp or kick-up actually spun back and was just kind of putting a groove into that right rear. Kind of scary to
punctures that tire, though. That's,
as I say, they got to keep an eye on that.
Guys, when you watch Dario Franchitti and the advantage he has over Ryan Briscoe, you were all remarking about his in-lap. Remember, Franchitti has used judiciously the overtake button. Guess when he used it? On that last lap before he came onto pit road. He punched that button and got the spurt and surprised all of us, didn't he?
He sure did. He made it work, Jack. No question about it. He opened up a little bit of a gap through that sequence.
There, the number of overtakes remaining. What was about a second between first and third is now 6 seconds as Franchitti enjoys the advantage. Final 3 races of the 2009 IndyCar season will be next Saturday night at Chicagoland Speedway, Joliet, Illinois. Then they go to Motegi, Japan, and the championship finale, of course, is at Homestead, Miami Speedway. Scott Dixon running in 12th position. Marco Andretti running in 13th with 17 laps to go.
Scott Dixon still has to ride around very carefully, even to make it to the end. Of course, Tony Kanaan was involved in that contact with Castro Neves. Look at that smoke and the piece fly off the back of Castro Neves, and Kanaan blew by and went into the pits. Castro Neves continued, and nice job by Justin Wilson just picking up a spot.
He's up
let's
to 8.
remember, we talked about Justin Wilson electing to go to the back to get rid of the black tires as quickly as possible. Why? Because he's the only driver, as we alluded to, that had 3 sets of sticker Firestone alternates, those red tires. He is now on a set of stickers. Everybody else is on a set of scuffs, and he is starting to carve his way to the front by using that advantage.
Speaking of carving, here comes Hideki Muto, who certainly knows that Castro Neves is somewhat wounded. He'll be able to see that right rear tire has a bit of a mark on it. Still there. Amazing that thing held pressure.
And I've been watching Hideki. I mean, the last 3 laps, he kept closing and closing on Elio, and right now he's there. So now is the time for Hideki to keep pushing right on to Elio.
That's where you can see the little change in the profile, kind of the mark down the tire, just like this.
And you can see where that flip is flapping up and down. The support underneath that is what has broken and put that groove that Jan kind of circled around there in that right rear.
Take a look at how Justin Wilson got around Dan Weldon.
This is the carousel, turn 6, sweeping downhill. Big elevation change there, about 80 feet.
And he's on the button. That was his left hand going for the button for a little bit of overtake. See ya.
You know, we say, oh, you know, Justin Wilson had a tough time in qualifying, which he did, but you can always pass. Wow!
Yeah, Muto's moved to third.
And he's gone.
And there was a piece of debris in turn number 1.
Yep.
I wonder with 15 laps to go if they would want to go get that piece of debris.
Yeah, let's just keep it a local yellow if they're going to do it. Here's the pass by Hideki into turn 9. Big braking. And
oh, excuse me.
That all counts. That all counts.
Playing through. Thank you.
Yeah, good heads up by Elio to give him a little bit of a break. There it is. Elio says, oh, I'm coming in. No, I'm not. Keep fighting.
Nice. I tell you. What are you doing? Get going.
Excitement. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Yeah, one of the things that Hideki Muto has done with his team with Kim Green, they knew in the middle part of the race that they were going to be a little bit slow. Why? Because they wanted to make fuel. They wanted to stretch things. They are now in an enviable position. And boy, you can see, look at that debris right in your center. The car streaked by on the high side of it. But getting back to the Muto situation, he can go full rich the rest of the way. Muto has been able to use that to his advantage in other road course races. He has certainly picked up his game, and now all of a sudden he's feeling blood in the water as he tries to better his third position and maybe get by Briscoe before this thing is over.
Now, Jack, before we go any further, and we want to get to this, of course, before the race is over, what was your reaction to that thing that was around your neck in the pre-race? Now, there's only one person that is more afraid of snakes than you, and that would be me. So how really was it?
Do you know what catatonia looks like in the catatonic? I would rather... Well, I'm speechless. All I've been thinking about since that happened is I've had nightmares, and I just have to figure out a way to get even with DJV, so that's not fair. And he goes, oh, well, kiss the snake.
Yeah, right.
That's when I wanted to put it right in his kiss.
It's been quite a weekend here on Versus. Yesterday, you heard Robbie Buell say that the taller you are, the more stupid your feet are. So
it's just further from your brain to your feet.
Yeah.
And so I'm shorter than you.
So me at 6'3", I would be a lot more stupid than you. Well, we got a good battle here as Ryan Briscoe is very, very close to our leader, Dario Franchitti. Now, Franchitti has led every lap so far, and in 181 previous IndyCar Series events, only one time has a driver led flag to flag. That was back in 2003 when Scott Dixon led all 206 laps of a rain-shortened event at Richmond. So Dario may be on his way to a second flag to flag.
Well, the faster car of these two guys going for the battle, obviously Ryan has closed up on the back of Dario, so he's got a little bit quicker car. The lap prior to him just getting on his tail, he ran 7/10 faster on that lap than Dario. So now what Briscoe needs to size up is this right in front, traffic. How can he take advantage of this traffic up in front to make a shot at Franchitti?
I mentioned that Elio has lost another spot. He's back to 5th as Mario Moraes has passed him and gone into 4th. Here are the two leaders coming around Milcaduno and getting there successfully.
Nicely stayed up on the high side and let those guys take the proper racing line and get on with their show.
All right, we got 13 laps to go in this IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma at Infineon Raceway, and Dario Franchitti has been the man. 11 laps to go. Here's what's happened so far.
Well, of course, if you're going to do a recap, you got to talk about lap 1. That's where pretty much everything broke loose. Marco Andretti contact, Scott Dixon contact, Montani spinning around. So many people on and off, but certainly for Scott Dixon in the middle of the picture, not what he wanted now. Talk about teammates with different outcomes. Dario Franchitti gets another lap. And look at the distance he makes on the field by going farther on fuel for his first pit stop. He's been there the rest of the day. Ryan Briscoe chasing, but there was lots of contact throughout the field. Here were former teammates back in the Indy Lights days. Boing! Sorry about that. Bit of a hit and run going on between Kanaan and Castroneves. Of course, Castroneves had some smoking tires there for a while. The piece flew off, and he's now kind of been wounded and being picked off by a few people.
That's been a busy corner for Elio today. In the warm-up, that's where he had his tap with Marias. He just had another incident that we just saw, so a busy spot for him.
Team Penske trying to go to the top of the most wins by team board. Tie right now exists between Team Penske and Andretti Green Racing. But Dario has about a 0.7 of a second advantage.
He has one other advantage, is that he pitted a lap later, meaning that he'll have a little more fuel. And Jack Arute was just telling us during the break that means that Dario is good for fuel, but Briscoe has got to take it a little bit easy. But we heard Penske say earlier, or at least the report was, we're not racing the 9. We're not racing the 10, we're racing the 9.
Right. And the 9 is in 12th position.
The championship big picture.
Andretti in 11th.
So what that means is if you're Roger Penske, you're talking to Briscoe saying, stay where you are. If there's a door open, take it. Otherwise, just bring it home, because that's the kind of day we wanted, because we're racing Scott Dixon.
Justin Wilson with a good run. He started dead last in this race.
This is for position.
And if he can make a good run here, this is the good passing zone coming into turn 9. He just looks just a little bit to fill those mirrors, but the way he's all over the back there of Servia, you think something's going to happen.
That's for 7th place.
He's looking.
And you're watching right now Justin Wilson's left hand hit that overtake button. He's got 15 seconds where he can use it. Will it pay off?
Wow. Oh, don't do it there. Wow. Look out. Oh, Castroneves is off.
And stop. This is going to bring out a full course caution.
Well, it depends where it is.
If it's in an impact zone, it will.
But he is.
We got to figure out. That looks outside of turn 1.
There we go.
Yep. Oh, and Ryan Hunter-Reay stopped.
That's at the exit of the carousel going up to 7.
Wow.
That must be some kind of mechanical. This one here looks like that was a boy howdy, look out, I'm off the course.
That's out in the toolies there, isn't it?
Except there aren't any toolies. It's all dust.
Oh, you can see the marks. Yeah. Coming right off like that. Look out.
Yeah. So do you think there was contact with somebody there coming out?
He was
because it was earlier on in that corner, or do you think he was just fighting that racing car?
Well, you know, he said he had to roll the dice. He knew he was a long shot in the championship, and you can't say he didn't roll the dice. Here's looking off the back, so there's no one, at least behind him.
Yep. Turn 1, car compresses right here.
Wow.
That gives us no indication of anything other than he just went off the track.
You heard it go, like, let's see, it's just like the thing. Oh, yeah, something.
Wow,
yeah.
just didn't
something,
turn.
I don't think it didn't start turning. The way he was so wide underneath that bridge on the outside of the corner, I think something wasn't responding on the front end.
Something responded. He knew he wasn't going to make it, and he immediately shut the thing down. You just heard it immediately go, brr, just shut the thing, knowing I'm in trouble.
He said hi to TK as he went by. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Bump and run there.
Yeah. Ryan Hunter-Reay is also stopped. And apparently the car just died.
Well, this is good news for Ryan Briscoe, who was having to save fuel. This yellow is going to let him go full out. On board here with Ryan Hunter-Reay. You're coming down through the carousel. It's dead right now. There's nothing there. Nobody home.
Yeah, and he's reaching for switches. He's reaching. He's going, come on, reset. Come on, baby.
No, nothing.
Didn't happen. All right, down to Robbie Floyd with Tim Cindric.
Tim, what's the word from Elio? I thought I heard something about right front suspension.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say hello to Will out there. We missed that yellow car, and we're thinking of him for sure. Yeah, he said something happened in the right front suspension there when he went into the turn, and it could have been a result of him and Tony getting together, but it's unfortunate. That's the way it goes. We'll see if Ryan can pull this thing off at the end.
was one of those days where today just didn't start out right with the contact with Mario Moraes. Was the car good there towards the end until that happened? Because y'all were also setting up for fuel possibly.
Yeah, it was good. You know, we were obviously trying to get track position on that last pit stop cycle and didn't quite get there. And obviously Justin and Tony kind of held us up on our out laps, but that's the way it goes. We short filled the car trying to get ourselves in track position, see what happens. So Elio was in a bit of a trick box. We might have had the right rear going down at the same time because it really never came up to pressure. So I think that incident with Tony caused a lot of that. But
thanks a lot, Tim. Will Power out of the race. Elio Castroneves out of the race. The Team Penske member that still remains is Ryan Briscoe.
Well, this is going to be very interesting when we go back to racing. Right now, we have 7 laps to go as Elio Castroneves' car off the corner has caused our full course caution. Back in a moment. And, of course, speaking of Brazil, that's where the 2010 IndyCar season will start. But we have 3 more races to go after this one in the 2009 season. And it looks like that finally going to get Elio's car out of the position that it stopped in, and it's been an up and down day for Elio, mostly down.
This was this battle between Mario Moraes and Castroneves. This is practice. We heard Robbie Floyd talk earlier, and we actually interviewed both of them about that. This is the race itself. Okay, it's all right. You're racing now. Tony Kanaan comes in, almost exactly the same spot. Tim Cindric thinks that's where some of the damage had happened, and here is when the suspension apparently let go, and he flies up, and this thing is totally beached.
Kind of want to sneeze after you see that shot, don't you, with all the dust, Jack?
Guys, let's take a look at some strategy. I like Franchitti and the opportunity he has to win this race, but you know I really like? I like Justin Wilson. I like what Dale Coyne, Bill Pappas, and that company has done. He told me last night, Dale Coyne said, I had a real sleepless night trying to figure out what to do. They rolled the dice, and with this yellow flag and the bunch up that takes place, watch for Justin Wilson on the next couple of laps to try and make some hay. Can he get a podium finish out of what turned out starting yesterday to be a bad weekend? I tend to think he could get 4th, and with a little bit of luck, he might get 3rd before this thing's over.
Yeah, it depends on your definition of making hay, because we certainly saw a Castroneves version of that. But I think, Robbie, you and I were just saying, Hideki Muto, followed by Mario Moraes, followed by Conway Servia, and now, as Jack was saying, Justin Wilson. That group right in there, they don't care about the championship. I think that's going to be a barn burner.
It is. We used to say at home, Grandma, put your teeth in your pocketbook. It's about to get wild.
Well, speaking of wild finishes, I'll make a bit of a transition there. Marco Andretti, remember in his very first Indianapolis 500, the battle he had with Sam Hornish Jr.? It's a subject of our centennial look here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It is 1 and 2, dad and son. Michael and Marco Andretti. Marco goes low, about 4 car lengths behind his dad, Michael Andretti.
3 laps will remain for Michael Andretti. 7.5 miles to realize the dream. Here goes Marco Andretti. Side by side. He's going to make the pass and wide.
Hey, Dad, watch this.
Dad could have probably been more difficult on me in turn 1. But at that point, I knew I had new tires. I knew Dad didn't.
Here comes Sam, though. He is closing up on Marco Andretti. You can visually see him closing the gap. Sam Hornish Jr. is battling adversity throughout the day. He's trying to get the lead in Indy.
And I pulled out to pass him, and I wasn't really going to try to pass him, but I thought, man, I got such a good run on him. I might as well go for it now.
Hornish all over Marco Andretti. Almost goes into the pit lane. Marco slams the door, holds the lead by 5 car lengths.
I knew he wasn't going to have enough at the end of turn 3, so I baited him to the inside. I slowly moved to the inside so he didn't go around the outside or anything like that.
19-year-old Marco Andretti, now less than 2 miles away from winning the 90th Indianapolis 500.
Going through 1 and 2, I'm like, I might still have a chance at this. Going through 3 and 4, I think I'm going to get him. And coming off 4, I'm like, this is all right. It's on, I'm going below him, outside of him, over top of him. I'm not lifting from here on out.
And Sam Hornish Jr. right on the tail of Marco Andretti. Can a teenager win in Indianapolis?
Sam Hornish Jr. makes the pass, he'll win it. Sam Hornish Jr. goes to the inside of Marco Andretti and wins it in the final 100 yards.
at Indy, you're either first or it's nothing.
I was happy to be there, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Remember that race, don't we? And by the way, the finish last night doesn't reflect it, but our buddy Sam Hornish Jr. had a good run at Bristol. Well, we're getting ready for the restart of this race. 5 laps to go. Franchitti, Briscoe, Muto, Marias, and Conway are the top 5. And here we go. Dario leads them off the corner, ready for the Apex Brazil Experience Our Energy restart, and let's see what happens.
Wilson's on it already. And everybody's going to that overtake button right now.
Justin Wilson couldn't make up any ground there. That's Oriol Serbia right ahead of him or beside him, whichever the case might be.
And what Oriol Serbia did, guys, to hold off Justin Wilson, hit the OT. They gave him just what he needed.
But Justin on those reds, look at that.
He's all the air got taken off the front of the car, but boy, he's trying.
Now's the time. Be patient right here. Now set up the run off of here so you can do something clean going into 7, which is just a good brake zone.
And Serbia got off there well.
Yeah, he did. Not going to happen there, Justin, is it?
You want to talk about evenly matched cars? It doesn't get any closer than this. One little slip up and you're going down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars that we can all see from his in-car camera.
And
there's a move. That's got to be Dixon.
Dixon passes Andretti.
Wow, we thought Dixon.
And Antonucci misses the corner, and Danik is off track.
Well, Antonucci will definitely have to give that up. But we're thinking, Scott Dixon is just trying to make it home.
This is coming to the start-finish line towards turn 1. Dorenbos right there in front of Wilson.
Mari Marias is working on Conway at the same time.
Less than 3 to go.
This is money time.
Wilson has to take advantage of those red tires now. Needs to get by Dorenbos to even get close to Marias.
He's trying.
Looking back off of Dorenbos here, coming into the carousel corner at Wilson.
Serbia.
Excuse me, Serbia.
Oh, here comes Muto. Whoa!
Look at Conway.
Conway takes the position.
Conway moves to 3rd. Wow.
I got bad news for you, though, Robbie. Mike Conway is down to 1 final push of the overtake button. He used him up to do that.
He doesn't need no stick and overtake. He's got the position, and here comes Marias.
It does not matter what's behind me. I just think about what's in front of me, and I go.
I don't need it. I'm out of here.
Muto slips back to 5th.
Muto was my man, too. I was pumping him up there early
Here
on.
comes Wilson to the inside.
Yes.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Oh, and
He's still got a little.
Yeah. We had drifting yesterday, now we got it today.
He just had rear bias lockup coming in there, but he kept it fired up and went.
Now he's behind Rafa.
This is great.
This is great. We don't see this type of stuff.
There's TK and Scott Dixon right behind Justin. Listen at this.
Okay, here's where it all begins as they head to 11.
That thing never even stopped.
Yeah.
Just put the clutch in.
Put the clutch in. Oh, man.
He's looking back off of Serbia. Really lost a few spots.
Yeah, a little bit of just rear lockup. Put the clutch in.
Yeah.
Stopped it.
He's thinking, hey, after that, if I can pull that off, I can go after, I can try this again. Well, through all that, way to go, Mike Conway. If he stays there, he's going to make the podium.
Yeah, no kidding.
Overcooks it. Wilson gets that one back. So does Kanai.
Dixon.
White flag.
Right there.
Yeah, like you said, Dixon. Hey. Hello, Scott. Where'd you come from?
Yeah, he's up to the top 10.
two drivers that are out of overtake. Andretti and Mike Conway used it up that last lap.
Dixon trying to fight off Marco Andretti's challenge here in the late going.
And look at this group.
Meanwhile, back up front, it is still...
Look at Conway go.
He wants second.
He's on the podium. I want more.
Man, oh, man.
Well, this is his last shot as they set up for 9.
He was close in 7, but Robbie, I don't think he's close enough here.
That's the spot right there.
Mike's previous best finish was 6th at Watkins Glen. And he's a few feet away from a podium finish. Here they come into the final corner. It's Dario, Briscoe, and Conway across the line, and Dario Franchitti wins his 4th victory of the season. His 12th in the IndyCar Series. It's his first win here at Sonoma. Marias and Muto get top 5s. Wilson with a 7th place finish. And where's Scott Dixon? Back to 14th.
He must have spun.
He spun in the last corner.
I really think Franchitti, the play to win this race is that lap he put in qualifying to put himself on the pole. He went on to lead every race, or every lap.
Yep.
But I think it goes back to that brilliant lap that put him on the pole.
Down to Robbie with Chip.
Chip Ganassi doing all these interviews here. How does it feel knowing that you finally got Dario's car right and stayed out in front all day long?
Tell you, it's he got max points there this weekend. That's what he needed. You know, pole, led the most laps, wins the race. Both guys now have won 4 races. That's quite an accomplishment for Team Target. We're pretty happy with that. We'll see where we end up in the points.
Yeah, your team all together, but Dario kept fighting after that, and it pays off. He watched the guy, Scott Dixon, test last week, but it paid dividends here today, guys.
And here's what happened to Scott Dixon on the last lap.
He did spin, but he had help. Look at this, Marco Andretti. Pow! Sorry, Scott, I'm coming through.
Dropping Scott
and
to
look at all those positions he lost.
Yeah, dropping to 14th place finish. Well, Dario Franchitti is receiving the applause of the crowds. He'll be in victory lane when we come back. Izod salutes a winning performance with Izod victory lane. Here's Lindy with Dario.
Dario Franchitti just getting his helmet off. This is his 4th win this year, his first win here at this race. There are more than 300 guests from Target here this weekend, and they are surrounding victory lane. Dario, get on out of here and talk to us here. Did making pole position, Dario, here it all comes, was being on pole here at this race really a big difference for you in the race?
I think it was critical. Track position was critical today, and I probably wasn't the most interesting race for the fans, but I did what I had to do today. I kept the Target car out front, and we stuck to our pit strategy. I kept a good consistent pace, but there was a couple of interesting moments out there. We'll drop some stuff on the track, but great Target. So great job on the pits as always, and yeah, this is crucial for the championship.
And at the beginning and even some parts throughout, did you have any idea at the Mayhem behind you?
Awesome. Thanks, brother. I saw some bits of cars in the middle of the track, so I had some idea, but bits were too small to work out who it was, so I didn't know. But it was definitely a fun race out there for me. A great day.
Congratulations, Dario.
Thank you,
Robbie.
Thanks a lot, Lindy. Ryan Briscoe doing the final debriefing, and let me tell you, you're 4 points ahead. The points battle changes again, but this time in your hands. Consistency wins championship. 7 second-place finishes. That's consistent, bud.
Yeah, it is. Who'd have thought a couple of years ago? But I'm gonna get run over here. No, but it's been good. I think, if we're going to win this championship, I'm going to have to win at least one of the last 3 here. So it's that close. It's tough. Scott had a tough weekend, which helps us out a little bit, but Dario got maximum points, and he's right there. So we've just got to keep getting these points, and coming in second it gets old a little bit, but we know we're up there, and the wins are going to come.
You're strong on the road and straight, and we know how fast you're on the ovals. Good luck at the next stop at Chicagoland, guys.
All right, Rob, this is Dario's 22nd win in American Open wheel racing. That moves him into a tie for 14th place with Emerson Fittipaldi and Helio Castroneves. Just in front of him with 24 legendary names, Bobby Rahal and Roger Ward. Dario wins at Infineon in the Indycar Grand Prix of Sonoma. Versus salutes the winning team. They're the members who did a great job in the pit area today, getting Dario Franchitti into victory lane. But a great run from Mike Conway, his best ever career finish third. Here's Jack.
Well, and Mike, you told me while we were waiting for this interview that, boy, if I only had a couple of more laps, car was hooked up.
Yeah, it was. The Trans-Systems car was working great today. You know, at the beginning, it was obviously a big disappointment that we had a puncture in the first corner. We just had to come back from there. I just pushed as hard as I could all the time. You know, guys did a great job on the pit stops. Big thank you to the crew. And,
let's go back though to the push through that you made on that restart when you got into that podium position that you now occupy.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a case of getting close to Mario, and you know, fortunately he made a mistake into the hairpin there. I was just able to creep up on the inside of him, and then I just dummied Muto, just went to the outside and skipped to the inside, and it was just enough to get by him. And yeah, a great day. I mean, I was going to be happy with where I was at the point, but you know, I just wanted to see what was available to us, and third is fantastic. You know, big thank you to everyone.
You know, I like the idea you called it, you dummied Muto, but anything you want to say to Robbie Buell upstairs?
Hopefully he wasn't giving me too much of a hard time up there. He normally does. But no, obviously big thank you to Robbie. You know, great job. I know it's been a tough season, but you know, we've hung in there and we've got the right result now.
This has been a big day for guys that felt pressure. Let's check in with another one. He's with Lindy.
Mario Moraes, you advanced 7 spots in the first lap alone. You just kept moving up, and it was rough out there at times. How did you stay out of trouble?
Well, I tried to be out of trouble in the first lap. It was quite a big mess, you know, and I couldn't avoid the contact. And, well, just hanging there. The Kevin Racing Technology did a great job today. You know, the whole weekend we had been working really hard because we could not test here the last week like everybody. And, well, the team did a great job.
A career best finish for you. You dedicated this race to your father. Talk about him.
Sure, you know, the last 2 weeks have been pretty tough for me. And one of the most difficult things was trying to be focused during the race, you know, because everything passed through your mind. And, well, yeah, definitely was pretty tough.
Mario, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's kind of crazy when the 2007 winner here says, there's something about this racetrack I don't like, and I guess I kind of see why. Just wasn't your day.
No, you know, it's kudos to obviously Dario. You know, it's a fantastic job, especially with so many Target supporters here today. But, you know, it was a tough race. Everything we tried to do, we tried to catch a yellow. We pitted early to see if it could vault us up, and we just kind of kept coming out in the same position, racing with TK and Marco, and we got into a bit of a mix-up there quite at the end.
We saw you aggressive till the end, making that pass on Marco Andretti, and then gave you a little love tap as well.
Yeah, we made a few passes, I think, on quite a few people, and, you know, right at the end there, he just kind of got into the back of me and spun me around, but you know, he came up, apologized, definitely didn't do it on purpose, but it's just one of those days, you know, that's racing, and I'm glad to move on and get out of here, and you know, hopefully get to the last 3 races, because I think we fared, you know, very well there last year.
I think you're about 24 points behind the points leader now. You look at Dario, your teammate, he was 20 points coming behind this, now he's only 4. That's amazing how the points change can switch when you have 3 contenders like that.
Yeah, absolutely, it can switch, you know, big time, and you know, that's what we've got to look at. We've got to make sure that we're consistent in the last 3, and hopefully they can have a little bit of a blunder, but you know, I think we can go out. I think between the 2 of us, we got cars. You know, the Target team can definitely win all those last 3 races. So, you know, that's the attitude we've got to go out there and try and dominate, and hopefully wind up with another championship.
Thanks a lot, Scotty. Look forward to seeing you next week at Chicagoland.
Our Firestone pit performers, that honor goes to the Ryan Briscoe team, spending 1:08.206 seconds total time on pit lane. Dario Franchitti continues to celebrate in victory lane. And now we are just 3 races away from crowning the champion for 2009. Here are the point standings. Only the top 4 are still mathematically eligible for the championship. Everyone from Danica on down have been eliminated, and there could be a change here because there may be some point adjustment to Scott Dixon because of that incident there on the last lap with Marco Andretti. But Scott came into the race 19 ahead, and right now he's 21 behind. Lindy Thaxton is with Justin Wilson.
Justin, the race is almost over. You spin and you keep it rolling. Are you nervous at that point?
No, at that point, I'm just fired up and want to get going again. So, I found myself, tucked under Oriol's rear wing and, just went sliding in there. And I thought I was going to take a few people out, but fortunately they gave me room and I was able to dump the clutch and get going again. So it was a fun race.
Why did you decide to take the risk, start at the back, and why you did that? Do you think it worked?
We felt that was our best chance of making something happen. In hindsight, everybody fell off in those first couple of laps, and maybe we should have done a more traditional race. But this way, we were able to run flat out and just see what the car had. So, maybe if we'd started in our usual spot, we'd been a bit closer to all the action and got taken out with everybody else. So we decided we went this route, we had to stick to it and make it work. And I think in the circumstances, going from 22nd to 7th is not a bad day, and I was happy with the Z-Line's car.
Justin Wilson, thank you.
Thank you.
Jack?
Let's get a quick last word with Dario Franchitti. I want to talk to Barry Wanzer because it's all about the crew in this particular instance.
Yeah, certainly everybody worked really hard, to get here, and the guys performed, flawlessly in the pits today, which certainly contributed to Dario's run on the track.
Dario, it all started for you yesterday, an off-track excursion, but then you saved the best for last.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew the target car was good enough to get the job done. The off-track thing didn't really hurt us too much, and that set us up for the win today.
Hey, more to come, guys. It's all about the points now.
Yeah, best career finish for Conway and Marias. Hideki equals his best finish on a road course, and Oriol Servia earns his 5th IndyCar Series top 10 on a road course in 8 road course starts. And we might mention also this is the first podium finish for Dreyer and Reinbold since Ryan Briscoe finished 3rd at Watkins Glen in 2006. All in all, a great day of racing with Dario Franchitti ending up in victory lane. Well, track and field competition coming up next. Stay tuned for the IAAF World Championships. Join us Saturday night at 9 o'clock Eastern for the Peak Antifreeze and Motor Oil Indy 300 from Chicagoland Speedway. You folks in the Chicagoland area, come and see us. You can find IZOD at your local Macy's. For more information on IndyCar, log on to Versus.com. Congratulations to Dario. For Jan, Robbie, Jack, Robbie, and Lindy, I'm Bob Jenkins. See you next Saturday night at Chicagoland.